to embracing that, but failing to deliver, because he knew that you could not, with a mayoral executive order, undo law that allowed horse carriage owners to have medallions and to then hire subcontract. So he lied. He took New York classes, money, and he never delivered. He never brought it to the council, which is where it had to be brought. So now we're in the election of 2025. And let's be very clear.
Let me know.
I have been singularly opposed to the horse carriage industry, along with my wife, who is a long-time animal rights activist for many years. And I've never accepted a payment. Let's be very clear. I've not accepted any money from any animal welfare club. It's just something that we believe in and many New Yorkers believe in. So yesterday, with the announcement of Eric Adams, who we debated about this in 2021, and actually I was opposed to the horse carriage industry continuing, and he supported it as part of the campaign. But it's good, even though it's the waning hours of his administration, because we know he's one and done. It's good to see that he's come on board. We now learned that Zohan Mandani, in a private interview with New York class, that actually during the primary process told them that he also was opposed to the horse carriage industry. That's good. I only wish he would have been public about it, and it wasn't behind closed doors. Now, who does that leave? Andrew.
Oh, that's all right.
So today, I'm appealing to every mayoral candidate, the top floor office. Eric Adams came on board yesterday. We now learned that Zohan Mandani was on board because it was publicized. Andrew Cuomo joined together. It's probably one of the few issues that we could join on. One of the few times we could actually stand together in solidarity, other than the debate on October 16th and the debate 6 days later that follows. To come together and say, we all have friends in city council. We all have supporters amongst the 51 in city council. Some of them have a direct contact, Zoran, with Adrian Adams, who's held this up, the speaker. What we're asking is what Bob Holt has been saying for years, who has put forward Writer's Law, which would ban this barbaric industry, is put the pressure on Adrian Adams, the speaker. Have a quick hearing, let all sides be heard, and then put it out there for a vote. And I'm hoping with the council people, I know some of them are still supportive of the horse carriage industry. Some that Zohan Mandani knows, some that Eric Adams knows. And it's time, Cuomo, you come on board, or you're standing with the horse carriage industry, this barbaric industry. And I think collectively between all four of us, we would get enough votes of city council people who are supporting us in this election to repeal this barbaric law. The other thing is, I want to just give you an idea, as I have consistently reported to people as to how we are the last online. You know, New York City, we always pride ourselves on being the best, the first. Nobody better than New York City. We are the last. Check out the locations that have banned horse-drawn carriages. Beijing, Red China, Dubai, Guadalajara in Mexico, Bombay. I mean, you say to yourself, Brussels, Istanbul, London, Paris, Rome, Chicago, Key West, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Philadelphia. All have banned the horse carriage industry. Some of these cities have no replacement plan. I have a worker transition plan I would put in effect in May. I don't want to see these men and women unemployed. I don't want to see anybody unemployed. Some of these cities have transitioned into electric carriages. So the same horse carriage drivers,
He's a
and
man.
there are about 64 medallions now
That's kind of sweet.
that you must have in order to have a horse carriage with the horse and the driver. By the way, the driver is a subcontractor. And then we just transition those medallions at no extra cost to an electric carriage. There is a philanthropist in Florida who a few years ago said, I'll buy all the electric carriages so there's no investment by anything, as a gift to the city of my birth, because he too believed in replacing this barbaric industry. So now we're at a turning point with the Central Park Conservancy also agreeing, after years of supporting the horse carriage industry, that it's time that we no longer do this. Let's liberate these horses. Let's allow them to enjoy a retirement at sanctuaries for horses all over this country where they get to frolic, they get to socialize, and they're not going to look like they look right now, like the saddest creatures in all of the world as they await to schlep around the park people who think that this is an episode of Sex in the City. If you want to see horse point carriages, watch the reruns of Sex in the City. But it's time we end it. So again, I appeal to all of my adversaries. Strongest statement we can make, because it's the city council that determines this, not Eric Adams. It's easy for Eric Adams to say, but he knows, like Bill de Blasio did, except Bill de Blasio lied, that it is the city council. Can you imagine on the front steps of the city that Zoe Hernandez, Andrew Morgan, Eric Adams, Curtis Lee was standing there making an overall appeal to the 51 members to pass Bob Holden's writer's law. Have your hearing, have an open vote, no shenanigans, no backroom deals, and then finally, to the brothers and sisters, and I call them brothers and sisters because I've been with them 46 years as leader of the Guardian Angels. The men and women members of TWU Local 100. They're the people who are the conductors, the motormen, the trackmen, the maintenance workers, the token booth clerks. Every time I talk to them, they have no idea that these horse carriage drivers are in union. They're not union members in name only. They're subcontracted. They got to kick up 60% of their fee to the people who actually own the horses and own the stables. So when I explain this to them, and I ask them, did you know that they're members of your group? No, I have no idea. I think it's time for them also to get on board, because their union leadership is the main reason that the city council will not appeal the order to have horse carriage as legal means of transportation. I think if the TWU Local 100 members put pressure on their union leadership now, this barbaric industry will be over. And I guarantee you, when I'm there, every man and woman who's a horse carriage driver now will have gainful employment with an electric carriage that will take its place at no cost.
All right. get threats all the time. I'm used to it. It's been part of how I grew up. As you know, I was the target of an organized hit in June 19, 1992 on the orders of John Gotti Sr., John Gotti Jr., and again, Peter Frankfurt. That went to federal court many times. So I'm used to it. Obviously, we don't want anybody being threatened. Coming on the heels of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which exercised our most precious right of free speech, the men have died in battle to preserve. We want to make sure that every candidate is safe and secure, and those who work on their campaigns and their support for them. So I applaud the Queen's DA for following up on the threats, making an arrest, obviously reaching all the way to Waco, Texas, and making sure this person is brought to justice here. And more importantly, it sends a signal that this election will not have violence involving itself in either preventing campaigns from getting out there in the streets. I like the streets. I treat it like a monument of people, and I'm the only candidate in the subways. But everybody should have freedom of movement. Everybody should have freedom to have rallies without having to have a thought. There may be some violent predator or predators are there to stifle their free speech. This is sacrosanct. This is not about parties or our differences. I will beat the three candidates in the general election, but I want them all to be safe and secure and not having to worry about this, which I know they've never been really targets of it. I know what it can do. I'm used to it. I'm immune, but I know it must be affected that way. No, I've always rejected an NYPD detail in 2021. Remember, major party candidates are entitled to it. I've always said we don't have enough police. We don't even have enough police now, 32,500. How can I possibly say we need more police and then walk around with armed NYPD security officers? That's why I think it is incumbent on Zoran Mandami to get on the wounded knee and apologize to the NYPD that he has called in the past racist and homophobic. After hesitating, he promised in a New York Times interview that he would. His first time out in the public being questioned, he refused. It's time he apologized because they are keeping him safe and secure from people like we saw who the long arm of the law reached out to Waco, Texas. Law enforcement there was able to secure an indictment against those threats here in Queens County. No, nothing ever changing my security protocol. I'm a New Yorker through and through. I don't fear New Yorkers. In fact, I'm the only candidate who says I trust New Yorkers. That's why I'm not dropping out. I'm not the candidate of the billionaires or the political class. I trust people, and that's why when people vote and determine who the next mayor is, they must have access to the candidate. I don't just want there to be forums where selected people are able to ask questions like we saw at Brooklyn College when Bernie Sanders returned to Brooklyn and hosted a forum for Zoran Mandami. No, let the people be heard. I suggest all the candidates with their armed guards and their contingents join me in the subway. It's the greatest focus group in the world. 6 million passengers a day, also on the buses that I ride. And boy, you're going to run across friends, foes, and a lot of questions that you better answer because they're not going to be satisfied if you just give them a single 30-second soundbite and then decide to leave on the next step.
Chris, I got to ask a colleague who's working on a story about the Conservative Party candidate. How come you never got their party?
I've never been a conservative. I mean, this idea that every Republican is a conservative. When Rudy Giuliani ran for mayor, first against Dickens in '89, he was not the Conservative Party candidate. He was the Republican candidate and the candidate of the Liberal Party, as he was in 1993 when he ran and successfully won. Michael Bloomberg was never the candidate of the Conservative Party. I respect the Conservative Party, but I do not share their ideology. I conducted probably the first gay marriage in the history of New York State for one of my workers when I was night manager of McDonald's back in the late 70s. That was actually written about in a book. A young man who had actually been part of my closing room and went on to star in The Sopranos, wrote about that. These are the kinds of things I believe in. I'm not Second Amendment. I believe in gun control. You know, the LGBTQ plus, I'm at odds sometimes with conservatives. And I'm not right to life. I'm pro-choice. So why would I want to be a Conservative Party candidate when as good people they have a candidate? In this case, Irene Estrada, who I actually helped run the last time in City Council when she was a Democrat. So look, we're going to have a spirited race. Irene Estrada as the Conservative Party candidate is right up there with Joanne Mondami and myself and our first independent line, Protect Animals. Try to find Eric Adams on that ballot, and worse, Andy Cuomo, because they didn't do due diligence. They don't have an operation. They turned in their signatures late. I will tell you this, we looked at Andy Cuomo's signatures. We could have challenged them in court. They were that bad. But we decided, no, it's not worth it. Let the people decide. But to the voters out there who think it's an easy process, look at a sample ballot. See if you can find Andy Cuomo or Eric Adams on that ballot.
Mind if I just ask just really quickly on that? You made a good case of why you're not a conservative, but a lot of Republicans are conservative, and if you're going to win, you need all the Republican votes for the most part. What are you doing to say, hey, you know, don't pull that conservative party lever even if you are personally conservative and still a registered Republican?
No, I get more independent votes than I get Republican and Conservative Party votes. Obviously, I'm a Republican Party candidate. This time around, they could have primaried me. They chose not to. They did in 2021 with Fernando Mateo. I beat him. So I will get Conservative votes. I will get Republican votes. And when you look at the polls, who gets the most independent vote? Curtis Sliwa. Because I am a populist, blue-collar, working-class candidate who has a strong independent streak. You haven't figured it out by now after 46 years. You can't put me in a cookie cutter. I am the people's man. I've always said that.
On those polls, your current mayor and those polls are still behind the other governors. What's going to change in the next 6 weeks or so?
Well, first off, the polls, look what happened in the presidential race. Up until the day before the race, we thought it would be razor-thin margin for either Vice President Harris or Trump. It was a romp for Trump. He won all 7 battleground states. He won the popular vote. I turned back to 2016. If you remember, it was about October 8th, and the Billy Bush tapes dropped. And almost every Republican, other than Rudy Giuliani, urged then candidate Donald Trump to drop out. And he said no. And that night of November 4th, 2016, he was the most surprised person in the world when they said President Donald Trump. Nobody expected that because of the polls. And then lastly, if the polls were so accurate, we would have had a coronation of Andy Cuomo. He was 40 points ahead 2 months before. He lost by 13 points. You run not based on polls. You run based on principles and who you believe your supporters are. They've given me more money in contributions than Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams combined. Locally, I've raised more money than Zohar Mandavi, but he's raised more out of state. So I have the money to run our first TV commercial featuring my wife Nancy, talking about crimes and harassment of women that none of the other candidates talk about. And tomorrow we drop our second commercial in which I talk about improve, don't move. That is the theme of my campaign, and I've been very consistent, the most consistent candidate. The others, they fluctuate from day to day. It's consistent courteous, caring, compassionate. That's the kind of mayor we need. Nobody questions whether I'm tough. We don't need a tough guy. We need a compassionate, caring mayor. And I think I've proven that over the years, especially when we talk about animal welfare. Any other questions? Can I take it on the subway? You can hear all my compensation. You may have to believe some of the language.
Especially nice.
I started the Guardian Angels in 1979 in the Bronx, when it was all Hispanic, mostly Puerto Rican and growing numbers of Dominican. The largest percentage of my members in the Guardian Angels have been Hispanic all through the years, protecting people. And I probably understand the Hispanic community better than all three of the other candidates because I've spent so much time. Last night, I was up on Dyckman Street in Newark, Washington Heights, receiving the endorsement of the Dominican community, Republicans. And that is the one community where you have equal number of Democrats who are Dominicans, equal number of Republicans who are Dominicans. So that's why it's important we have a vote on November 4th. I believe that I'm doing very well with Latinos and Latinas, but I want people to vote first. I don't want billionaires to try to choose who the next mayor is. I think Zoran Mandami has not really spent a lot of time in the Latino community. He has the support of some Latino elected officials, but that's because he's the Democratic candidate. But if I would have put him in Washington Heights or Corona or East New York, and he didn't have a GPS, right, that's it. If he didn't have a GPS, he'd be lost. The global positioning system. There's 350 neighborhoods in New York City. I've been in all of them, and they're growing numbers of Hispanics who are the majority. They are the new majority in New York City. I think I know them better than the other candidates. No, what I said about Sanctuary City, that all three Democrats support Zoran Mandami, Andrew Cuomo, and Eric Adams, is put it on the ballot. Let the people vote. On the back of the ballot, there's initiative. And if the people voted to keep Sanctuary City, I'd have to live with it as mayor. But I know people of New York City, and many Hispanic people, would vote against Sanctuary City. I trust the people. I don't trust the politicians. I don't trust the billionaires. Let the people vote. Let them decide who's going to be mayor. And this year, it could have been an initiative, but Eric Adams wouldn't allow it. When they go after drug dealers, sex traffickers, when they go after cartel members, gang members, absolute total cooperation. But when they begin to raid Home Depot in the morning because men and women are lined up when they leave, when they go into the backs of restaurants, go into the hospitality industry, I say no. They are essential workers. I have three sons. None of them will do those jobs. I would have when I was growing up, but it's a different generation. We need those workers. Now, the president has sometimes said he wants to figure out a special status. He said that one day, then he changes the name. I would pressure Washington to say these are essential workers, without which our economy would begin to decay. Oh yeah. In fact, bodega owners have gone from Puerto Ricans when I was younger to Dominicans to now men and women from Yemen who are buying up many of the bodegas. It is the most dangerous job in the city because at any moment people come in and they use against bodega owners and bodega workers. We saw that just the other day in Bushwick. They come in and they shop them over and over. It's a business of nickels and dimes and pennies. So if you allow for crime to take place, it's impossible to run a business, any business, never mind a bodega. But the cost of electricity skyrocketed. Other costs, property taxes, if you own the property, skyrocketing. Then the fees, the fines, if there's litter in front of the store, because the wind blew the litter right away, they're writing you up tickets, $250. That all stops. We must help the small businessman and businesswoman. Immigrants own many of the small businesses. They employ 1 million people in New York City. 1 million people.
Let's go for him. I love horses, but I don't like him.
Nobody believes in crime. Nobody. Especially women. My wife, Nancy, made our first TV commercial campaign. It was all about crime against women, harassment, sexual harassment. This is what women go through. They are the #1 workers. They head the household, many single-parent households, raising the kids. They determine how money is spent. They are part of nightlife. They not only work in restaurants, bars, and nightclubs, many of them manage and own them now. And they tell me all the time, Curtis, I can't keep affording taking Ubers and Lyft and yellow cabs. I need to take the subway. It's too dangerous. So I trust the women to better know about safety in New York City than Eric Adams or the police commissioner who always have more cops. Number two, I would hire 7,000 police. We only have 32,500 cops. We need 40,000. And that becomes priority number one. Number two, nobody talks about this, but cops now can be sued for what they do personally. No other government employee, because Eric Adams allowed that, Cuomo allowed that, the city council allowed that. I would bring that to an end, and I would say, if the cops do not have insurance, which the taxpayers provide, I don't have insurance, and you won't have insurance. Watch how quick, if it affects them, they'll change it. But when you say bail reform, I say, Andrew, the complete disaster. As governor in 2019, he imposed bail reform, which turns criminals loose over and over. Now, he ran for mayor this time in the Democratic primary. He doubled down on it, said, I support bail reform. Anybody thinking of voting for Andrew Cuomo must be a masochist, because he is the result of the crime and the catastrophe that we have. No cash bail. That's Andrew Cuomo. I would fight to eliminate it, although that has to be done by the governor and the state legislature. The last measure is we all need to learn about dedication to family, dedication to the elders, dedication to the country. They now serve in the police department more than white members who used to dominate between Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, and they serve in the military. They prove their patriotism to America over and over. They were the minority, they're now the majority. When I'm mayor, you are going to see a lot of Hispanics in my administration, because in the past, politicians, they want the Latino vote a few days before the elections, and then when it comes time to get really important appointments, they forget them, statewide and citywide. Well, Donald Trump is a very popular president around the country and in some parts of New York State. It's not that popular in New York City, but it's a checks and balances, because we have a strong president in Washington. Now we have the socialists who control the Democratic Party. We can't allow that. So the president controls a lot of the money that we depend on. And so the socialists have to understand that's what we call the balance of power. They love there to be a socialist president. So then they'd spend everybody's money, everybody would move to Florida, and New York City would collapse. The president won't allow it. Sure, absolutely.
And if they're leaving, that's how they do it. Out the door. And that's Curtis Lewa. So he made it official. Oh, they're just looking for shade.
All right, I have to do that other review. Yeah,
Let me see if I can get it.
Support the pedicab drivers too, man. You should tell it to the pedicab drivers.
No, they're not against you. Curtis. Can I get him for 30 seconds to give him a report on the horses? You know who I am. Hi, Nancy. I found 6 order on the path, breaking the rules, soliciting, and 1 dead lame. And I have the video. So if you want it, I'll give it to you. I want to get his reaction. I got.
No, it's okay. I'll just wait for them.
I'm here all day. I'm waiting for Adita too. So she's supposed to be coming. So Fox 5 has got him now. I'll just get a video when it all calms down and I can get him by myself. But like I told her, Eric Adams put the executive order in yesterday that NYPD, everybody's supposed to crack down. The first hour or so, they were really heavy in there. And but on the path, I found, 5, 6 total? Bethesda Fountain. The one guy that I haven't, I've got video that I'm saving for later. One guy arguing with me that I caught him. He was angry. He was actually looking around first, had no idea I was there. He dropped off a fare that was in the front with him, driving with him, a passenger. Drops her off and then starts looking around and he starts screaming for, to the public, tourists, carriage ride, whatever, over on the east side again, not too far from here. And I videoed the whole thing. And again, he says, what are you going to do with my license plate? I said, I'm going to turn it into the mayor's office. That's what I'm going to do with it. So, what is going on? And my friend was lurking about. Well, there she is.
Where the horse drivers would have gainful employment, would maintain their union status, and would continue to be able to support themselves and feed their families. Some of the other plans don't take that into effect, but I think now is the time. So it's up to Cuomo now, since we have 3 of the 4 candidates who want to discontinue the horse carriage industry. He needs to come up with, we all know different city council people. There has to be a hearing. There has to be a vote on Riders Law. If we all lobbied the people we know, it would be repealed. Well, TWU Local 100 is their union. The leadership obviously is supporting the horse carriage industry, but I'm the only candidate who's actually in the subways every day, so I come across a lot of their members who are the conductors, motormen, maintenance people, track workers, token clerks. They really don't even know that horse carriage drivers are part of their union, and when I explained to them that they would still have gainful employment as drivers of electric carriages, they seem to be favorably disposed to that. I don't know if they've discussed it at their union meetings. I'm not privy to that. But I think now it's time that they consider that. And they consider the different plans of transition. Mine, I think, is a solid one. It's done in a lot of cities that have discontinued the horse carriage
She
industry.
starts to give him a hard time. I'm going to jump in with the video of the lame horse this morning.
Well, clearly, with the execution, assassination,
I'm going to just get rid of the video.
everybody
I'll be
is
back.
offensive because free speech